Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 10th, 2021 meeting of the Penfield Planning Board. We'll begin the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and attending. Due to the public health and safety concerns related to COVID-19, this meeting is being conducted remotely pursuant to the governor's executive orders, including Executive Order 202.1, which suspended certain provisions of the Open Meetings Law. The meeting is being video recorded and is being broadcast live on the Town of Penfield's website, www.penfield.org, and on the Town of Penfield's Government Access Channel 1303. In addition, you can access the meeting on streaming media devices like Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Just search Penfield TV in your device's app store. It's free. If the meeting will also be later transcribed. There will be public participation opportunities for each public hearing application we have tonight. To address the board during the public participation portion of the meeting, please call 585-340-8771, and that will put you in touch with Command Central downstairs at Penfield TV, and they'll put you in the queue to make your comments. And we will announce that as each public hearing ensues. In addition, you can also log on to the Penfield website, penfield.org, and there should be a link on there for tonight's meeting where you can comment in writing via text or email. Okay, with that, Lori, can you please call the roll?
Hetzke.
Hetzke, here.
Knauer.
Knauer, here.
Tidings.
Tidings, here.
Burton.
Burton, here.
Sangster.
Sangster, here.
O'Connor.
O'Connor, here.
Weissar.
Weissar, here.
Gray, here.
Okay, thank you. We have minutes from May 13th. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review them. And maybe you can entertain a motion to approve from someone.
Tidings, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Burton, second.
Hetzke.
Hetzke, aye.
Burton.
Aye.
Knauer.
Knauer, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay, we have no tabled applications or action items, so we will be moving directly into the public hearing portion of the meeting tonight. So, like I said before, there is public participation available, I guess we'll call it remotely. You are welcome to call in. The way the agenda will work, we have 4 items on our agenda tonight, and the way they're presented, the applicant will present their project or application to the board. The board will ask questions. That's probably a good time, if you have a comment, to start getting into the queue to make your public comment. That way I'll see it on the screen, and the folks downstairs can help coordinate inbound calls. And once the board is finished up with our questioning, we open it up to public participation, and we very much welcome that. So, Doug, do you have any additional comments regarding that, or do you want to go ahead and read the first application?
I do not. Or just to remind folks to, if you're going to call in during the application that's being discussed.
Yes. Yes. And keep your comments concise and pertinent.
Okay. With that, we can get started with the first application.
Yes.
D.H. Lewis Engineering, PLLC, 3832 Corey Corners Road, Marion, New York, 14505. On behalf of Eric and Susan Stroyer, request under Chapter 250, Article 12-12.2, and Article 11-11.2 of the Code of Town of Penfield for the preliminary and final subdivision and site plan approval for a 5-lot subdivision with associated site improvements on a 15.416 acre lot located at 1030 Plank Road. The property is now or formerly owned by Eric and Susan Stroyer and zoned Rural Residential District RR1, application number 21P-0015, SBL number 94.04-1-32.11. And I believe we have Don Lewis, the engineer, as well as Eric Stroyer on the line. Don, you can go ahead with your
Yes.
presentation.
How you doing? Good evening. Don Lewis with DH Lewis Engineering, as Doug mentioned. Eric is here with us too, to keep me straight, so stay on point. We were before you with a sketch plan a few meetings ago, and I think the project was well received. The project is the property that Eric and Sue currently reside at. It's a just over 15-acre parcel, and their intention is to subdivide it into 5 lots, one being their existing house, which they would sell off, with their intention of building their new residence in one of the lots in the back. There's a common driveway for the 2 deeper lots, as shown on the plans, and with a common drive separating with the turnaround and all the necessary utilities to get back there. Each lot will have its own septic system. The existing house has its own septic system, which is also depicted on the plan, thus the kind of odd configuration in the back behind the house. They also are proposing 2 frontage lots along Plank Road. The county DOT has reviewed this plan, and currently I've had revised plans back with the addressed PRC comments, as well as plans back to the health department and water authority in regards to this current layout that like I said, I dropped off revised plans for the last PRC comments, and right now all 3 agencies, short of some formwork and some fees, are ready to sign. So as far as the layout goes, they're good with it. I know I've been through some round of comments also with the fire marshal in regards to the longer driveways. And I believe we've resolved that issue as far as having pull-offs due to the distances that it's off the main road. The project, as you know, fits well with, what the development is in and around this facility. Is the same, style houses that are, there's a newer facility just to the west of this, the adjoining property that has the same style they're intending to build, much like what the house is that they have out there now. And their intention is to keep as much of the wooded integrity and feel for what the neighborhood has out there now. Also, with this application, they've been talking to the neighbor to the east, the lady up on the front, her name, Joanne Mestowski. And within this subdivision, they would also like to transfer a piece to her to give her more room with her lot, with the intention of her adding on a small addition to her house, is what I understood. And correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. But they've been in talks with her, and that's how we ended up with this configuration that you see before you. So, with that, I open up the board with any questions or comments.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Terry, you want to get us started off?
I guess only one quick question, I guess, that I had. So the owners are going to move to one of the back lots there, and the other pieces are all going to be sold off. Do you have any buyers at the time, or we're just going to be in the process of selling those?
If you're looking at the map, lot 4 would be Eric and Susan's new house. Eric's son is going to purchase the other lot 3 in the back, and then the 2 on the front. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. I don't know One definitely is to be sold off. I don't know if there was some intention for another relative to purchase one of the other lots up front.
Yeah, that's correct. They might both be up for sale. One we may save for future in-laws or something.
Great. Okay, I think I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And you'd mentioned you're working with a fire marshal to get their concerns all worked out?
Correct. It was his biggest issue, obviously, like most of these lots that have these longer driveways are having emergency pull-offs in lieu of doing a full 20-foot wide driveway. You can strategically put 50-foot long, 20-foot wide pull-offs for emergency access, in case there's fire vehicles, H20 loaded roadways. And then also the two rear lots will have to have sprinkler systems.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions from the board? Nope. Okay. I'd like to open this application up for public comment. I currently am not seeing anybody on the phone, nor do I see any text messages. I guess we could give it another 30 seconds or so. So if you would like to comment on this tonight, live on the air, please, very, very soon, call 340-8771. Otherwise, your comments, we will keep this public comment period open, as has been our practice for the duration of COVID for the next week. So it gives an opportunity for people who can't call in or comment tonight. You can still direct your comments to the town planning department, and we will record them. So with that, I'm still not seeing anybody on the phone. So, okay, guys, thank you very much for your presentation. And yeah, unless anybody has any other questions. Looks good. We will be addressing this most likely at our work session in 2 weeks.
Okay,
All right?
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, Doug,
All right, application
on to
number
number
two.
2.
All right, application 2, McMahon LaRue Associates, PC, 822 Holt Road, Webster, New York, 14580, on behalf of Gerber Homes and Additions, LLC, requests under Chapter 250, Article 12-12.2, and Article 11-11.2 of the Code of the Town of Penfield for preliminary and final subdivision and site plan approval for a 4-lot subdivision under Town Law 278 with associated site improvements on a 7.189 acre lot located at 1357 Jackson Road. The property is now or formerly owned by Gerber Homes and Additions LLC and zoned Rural Residential District RR1, application number 21P-0016, SBL number 94.04-1-21.11. We have Al LaRue on the call here. Al, you can begin your presentation.
Good evening, Al LaRue, McMahon LaRue Associates. John Graziosi from Gerber Homes is here also. He's joined. You pretty well said it all. It's a 4-lot subdivision, 278. The only reason for the 278 is the lot 1, which was smaller due to the private drive, etc. So that's the only lot that's smaller than zone. All the rest of them are quite large. We've received all the county comments. We've addressed all of them in writing and on the plan. We have the Town of Penfield staff requirements. We've addressed those in writing and on the plan. Other than that, it's septic systems. The only difficulty with this site was the amount of sand. Sand runs from, because of minerals, anywhere from 12 inches of sand to 20 inches. And so it necessarily brought the septic system up. In order not to have a pump, the house came up, so there's grading around it. 3 of the 4 lots in the back all have walkouts or partial walkouts. The site does balance. We put in a pond at the northwest corner. It wasn't required, but it's a nice facility. One of the owners in lot 3 wanted it, so we put it there. The site does balance, and we have submitted the drainage calculations. I think either yesterday or I think it was yesterday we submitted the drainage calculations. So we're ready to go and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Jim, you want to get started?
Good evening, Al.
Good evening.
So my only question really is for town staff. I saw all the PRC comments. I saw your responses to the comments, some of which indicated that you would provide the additional documentation that they're looking for. So where do we stand with those engineering comments, Mike?
Well, like Al said, we got the drainage report yesterday, so I was going through it somewhat quickly today, but generally it looks pretty good. I think really the only comments or questions we might have is maybe with the fire marshal as far as the turnaround. It might need to be bumped up just a little bit to meet the turning radius and all that. But I would suggest that Al contact Jeff David to confirm that because we think it might need to be 40 feet rather than I think the 30 feet. So other than that, we're generally, it's all technical in nature and can work with the applicant.
So we'll just make that a condition of engineer's approval. So Al, you picked up on that. You need to get in contact with the fire marshal and just make sure that the turnaround is satisfied.
Not a problem. We acknowledge that, that we hadn't heard before, but we will do that.
Okay. Looks like everything else looks pretty good.
So I just have a question, Al. You're using the material from the pond as fill for the house pads?
That's part of the balance, yes it is.
Will you need to bring in, you mentioned that the site balances, so you're not going to bring in any outside fill?
We are not.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
All set.
Nope, all set.
All right, I'd like to open this application up to public comments. And we do not have any at this very moment, but quickly punch in 340-8771 on your phone and call in with your comments. We will keep this open for another 10 seconds or so. And like I said, we'll keep the public comment period. We'll table this to allow for some additional public comment period. We've been doing that as our practice throughout COVID because, well, life was turned upside down. So we'll keep this public comment period open for the next 7 days. And you can call the Town of Penfield's Planning Department at 340-8640. Any day during the week, except for Friday, because maybe they decide to take Fridays off. I don't know. They don't, but you, feel free to call them on Friday too. All right,
I'd love to take Friday off.
Let's all take Friday.
Mr. Chairman, the phone just rang, so if you could give us 1 minute. Please.
Okay. Looks like we may have a caller on the line. Okay. Looks like,
I'm waiting for the transfer.
okay. Looks like we have Robin Hutteman. Please forgive me if I butchered your last name. On the line.
Try again.
Okay, so, Robin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and we can hear you. It's a miracle.
Okay, great. So, we live on 1351 Jackson Road, and I did email in a question about the possibility of having Gerber put a berm and some trees along the road that's going to come right along our property line. At your last meeting, you all were in agreement, but we're not seeing any part of that on the plan.
Okay.
We
You're
have a, we
to
have
the
a
north?
swale along that line.
On the line?
Excuse me, we have a swale along that line to provide drainage.
Robin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And we can
PCTV, we're having a little bit of playback coming through the phone.
Hold on one second.
Oh, should I say it again?
No, please, just, if you could, just be patient. The feed going through the internet is a little bit behind the live feed, and so we're getting a repeat about a minute later
Reverb.
of everything that was said.
Maybe if you could turn the volume down if it's coming from our computer.
Okay, AJ.
Are we good?
Hello?
Hi, Robin. So
Hi.
you're to the north or to the south?
To the north.
She's at the top of the page.
Top of the page. Okay. And Al,
Right
you had a
along the
comment?
road? Yes. So I had emailed in my question earlier, but y'all didn't get a chance to address it, I guess. At your last meeting, we had brought up that we would like a berm or some trees to protect our property between our property and the road. And it was my understanding that that was agreed to, but we're not seeing that on any of the plans.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
We would be to the north.
Yeah, just to the north side of that new proposed drive.
Al, is,
It,
Oh, okay. Robin, we
Yeah.
have your comment, and it is being referred to the applicant and our staff, and it's well noted. And Al, did you hear what she asked for?
I did. There's a drainage swale on the north side of our driveway. And the purpose of the swale is to, one, take the drainage off of our driveway, but also intercept their drainage so that there's no way water can flood onto their property from our property. So there's a minimal amount of area. We can do maybe a little bit by the buildings. Certainly could plant some trees along within a foot or so of the property line. There's not a whole lot of room there to do much of anything, but certainly no long berm, because then that would not only block their drainage, but it would block our drainage. So that's what we're faced with.
hey, Al, could you get with that owner and have some discussion about some vegetation there that would satisfy the buffering that they appear to be looking for?
John said, nodded his head, he will go, John Graziosi with Gerber, will go meet with her. Do you have her
Thanks,
phone
John.
number?
Yeah, we'd be glad to put some trees along, between us and the neighboring property there, Robin, on your property. We just have to be careful, we've got enough room for the swale and then the trees.
Sure.
sorry, I can't hear what they're saying.
Especially
You want to
near the
convey
garage.
that to her?
Yeah, I will. Okay, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Robin,
Yeah.
they're going to contact you. We're going to give them your phone number.
Okay,
And the developer has said that he'd be happy to put some trees in there. One of the issues with the berm is drainage. They don't want
Okay.
to create a situation where it hurts
runs-
your property
Runs down
or,
into our yard.
right. So,
Okay.
but the vegetation, they're happy to talk with you about that.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll look forward to hearing from them.
Okay, great, thank you for the call. All
Okay, bye-bye.
right, bye-bye. All right. I don't think we have any others at the moment.
You have her phone number?
We do. I don't want to give it to you over the air,
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, we'll follow up in an email. We'll
Yeah.
provide it.
Okay, that's fair, that's right.
I mean, there's millions of people all over the world watching this right now. And you never know what crazies would be calling her.
Yeah,
Our ratings, I think, are better than the zoning board, so. All right, any other questions
No.
from
Nope.
the board? Okay, we have nobody else calling in at the moment, so thank you very much for your presentation. And we will have a good night, and we'll move on to the next hearing.
thank you for hearing us, and I'm on for the next one.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
All right. Application number 3, McMahon LaRue Associates, PC, 822 Holt Road, Webster, New York, 14580. On behalf of Leo Spezio and Cynthia Spezio, request under Chapter 250, Article 11-11.2 of the Code of the Town of Penfield for preliminary and final subdivision approval for the subdivision of land on 6.325 acres located at 1232 and 1236 Salt Road. The properties are now or formerly owned by Leo Spezio Jr. and Cynthia Spezio and zoned Rural Agricultural District RA2. Application number 21P-0017, SBL number 096.10-2-3.2 and 096.01-2-3.3.
Okay, Al, you're on.
Good, thank you very much. I see Leo's on also and his wife.
Welcome.
This is a subdivision, and it's compliant with zoning. We're not proposing any development on the back lot at this time. We have the comments from staff. We've addressed them in writing. Nothing much more can be said other than that. Other than, I don't know if Leo's got plans for developing lot R, and I have to look and see R3B. So with that, there's not much more to say.
Okay, Bob, do you want to start
Sure.
off? Actually, before you start, if anyone from the public would like to comment on this application, my guess is now would be a good time to make your phone call at 340-8771, or you can go onto the Penfield website and make a comment in writing. Just click on the link to tonight's meeting. Bob, you're good to go.
Okay. Al, I just have one clarification on Lot 3A. You indicate, of course, there's a structure on it, and then you say it will not be further developed. And on the site plan, you're showing an area, it says required area for a leach field. Does that barn require that, or was that just a note? I just need some clarification on that note indicating the leach field.
Regarding R3A, there is a septic system in the back, and there was at one time, we had a circle showing a reputed location, but now we know where it is. And so other than that, that lot's gonna stay like it is. Leo has been reconstructing that barn into a home, and as far as I know, that's all that's going to happen.
Okay, so that barn would be converted to a residence, hence the layout of the septic, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So 3A, no plans to develop, just creating a separate lot just for the barn? Can I ask why?
That's a 2-acre lot, it's 2-acre zoning, so that lot where the barn is on right now is 2 acres, it'll stay 2 acres. Can it be further developed?
AJ, a little history on it is that that barn was originally, so this lot was originally 1228 Salt Road. It was all one lot. A number of years ago, it was subdivided into the 3 lots as part of the Batz subdivision. In that subdivision, the original owner was looking to convert that barn into a residence. From our understanding, he was in the middle of the process of that when they sold the property. So that barn actually has been converted into a residence with its own electric, water service, things
Okay,
like
so
that.
it's
So it is
livable quarters.
It is, yeah.
Essentially, it's more of a house than a
So it
barn.
won't be a
residential.
lot that's got just a barn.
Right.
Yeah, that is
It's
correct.
actually
Yeah,
a
it's
residence.
an actual residence.
Okay,
That would be an accessory without a principal.
without a primary structure.
Right.
Right, okay. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, and no plans right now for 3B?
No plans for 3B.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
is that a functioning residence right now?
What was the barn?
Yes.
Leo, is it?
Yes, sir, it is. It was, and it was utilized for that, and it does have a septic system and water, et cetera, so that is correct.
Okay. You know, given that, I think the site plan, some notation should be made that it's an actual residence, that it's not, because right now, it's just shown as a, 2-story barn.
I agree.
Yeah, so maybe reframing it to barn dwelling or dwelling, 2-story
Yeah.
dwelling. Yeah.
Okay.
yes. Okay, any other questions from the board?
I'm all set, thank you. Good question.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for public comment at the moment. 340-8771. Your opportunity to be famous and make your comments heard here on live TV and spread throughout the planet and the universe on the internet. So let's give it another minute or 10 seconds. Okay. Again, like the previous 2 applications, we will keep this comment period open for the next 7 days. And so if you don't have an opportunity or camera shy or something, and would like to call the town with your comments or submit them in writing, you're more than welcome to do so. Town of Penfield Planning Department phone number is 340-8640. And Al and the Spezios, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all.
Good evening, Al, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Okay, moving on to application number 4.
All right, application number 4, SWBR 387 East Main Street, Suite 500, Rochester, New York, 14604, on behalf of Penfield Heights LLC. Request under Chapter 250, Article 12-12.2 and Article 11-11.2 of the Code of the Town of Penfield for preliminary and final subdivision and site plan approval for a mixed-use development project including townhomes, apartments, a common house, commercial, retail, and office spaces with associated site improvements on 6.6 acres located at 1810 and 1820 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. The properties are now or formerly owned by Penfield Heights LLC and Sebastian and Concita Curatolo and zoned mixed-use development MUD. Application number 21P-0018, SBL numbers 125.01-1-25.1 and 125.01-1-25.2. And we
Okay, Bill. Ready to go?
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Bill Price with SWBR. And Doug, do you have one of the site plans that we could put up and I could speak?
Yes. Just a second. That one.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this application, we did submit after our sketch plan meeting with you and several meetings with the PRC. And I want to just point out some of the differences in the site plan based on the comments that we did receive. And as soon as that's up, I can point you to some of the changes. After we go through, some of the modifications to the site plan, we have received the Monroe County DRC comments as well as town comments on our complete plan set. And we do intend to respond to each of those individually. Okay, so for tonight, we do have not only this site plan, but we have a rendered site plan, and we do have some some perspective renderings that we put together. I think toward the end of the meeting with the board at sketch plan, the board had requested some perspective renderings from several locations to get a sense of what this development would look like from 250 and from roads to the east of the site, as well as the subdivision areas to the to the southeast as well.
Right.
Thank you. That would be the plan that I'd like to speak to.
So this is looking south from 250?
Right. Yep. So you're traveling southbound on 250. Penfield Square is on the right, and you see the traffic signal that is already there and accesses the YMCA and Penfield Square. Poles are already existing for the access into our site, and the driveway throat is established, but we will have to make some improvements to the signal heads, the pedestrian crossing signals, as well as some of the lane striping will be required for left turns into the site from a southbound move. What you see in the front is the two-story townhouses. A little bit faint to see, but is the sidewalk, publicly accessible sidewalk that we will be building just inside the property line, the right-of-way line. And then some of the patios and balconies of the two-story townhouse units. And toward the background, you can see the retail building where we do have a mix of materials on the ground level, and that creates an opportunity for a balcony space along Route 250 over what might be a restaurant or some type of retail on the first floor, potentially office or artist lofts or something on the second and third floors. Is there another perspective we could go to? Yeah. Yeah. All right. We had heard that, there was an issue. We were trying to explain the heights of the buildings and why some portions of the buildings were exceeding the height limits per the code. And this was one of the views of concern from Dublin Road. And do have building D, which does have a peak in it because of the way we've designed the roof line of the main portion of the building. And as it's measured from the ground on the back side or the east side, that's where the height of 70 feet comes into play. So as you're looking from Dublin, this would be the view that you would have of the complex.
Okay. So that's
Yeah,
from-
I just, sorry, I would just like, I wouldn't zoom in too close to that. It was meant to be seen from where you asked us to see it. It's really kind of gets blurry and unreadable, just as you found out.
Okay.
Now, that you asked us to look at views from some of the residential units to the south and east of the property. After driving the site and looking at it from Google Earth, there is no home to the south and east of the existing subdivision that will have visual access to this property. Existing woodlots that will remain in place and not be disturbed as part of this project will screen this project from the adjacent subdivision. This particular view we wanted to add. We did have the modeling from the Penfield Square project. You can see that as well as the parking lot of the YMCA and the drive access into our site and how this is organized. Please recall that there's about a 20-foot grade change across this site, so we do drop down a little bit behind the two front townhouse buildings across the street to the face of Building D, which has ground level retail and commercial with 2 stories of residential above it. And also Building C. And then on the back side of Building D is where we drop approximately 12 feet so that we provide some garages on, the east and north sides or those back sides of Building D. There are a few garages that have been added to the downhill side of Building C, which is that bigger building connected by the bridge over on the right-hand side. In this photo, in this rendering, you can see kind of a bathtub effect in the roof line of Building D. Some of the town comments around AC units were brought up in the comment letter. I want you to know that this is where the AC units will be placed on the roof for, and I don't know, Rob, if there's other utilities going up there, but we know the AC condensers for the residential and commercial retail spaces in Building D will all be on the roof and not ground mounted. And there are other other buildings, E and C, that do have ground-mounted air conditioning condensers that have been put on the back sides of both of the buildings, so they are out of the view to the extent we can from the public.
Yeah, I would say that, just to add, that it's quite an expense to do this bathtub. We Building D is so locked in with streetscape and things like that, that it was kind of a good choice, one of the only choices for us for Building D. Just one other thing, Bill, I wanted to bring up, if you could zoom out a little, Doug. You know, the idea with the height, just to go back to that, so you could see there's two, in Building D and C, there's two little sections that have that height of about 70 feet that we were talking about. Yep, right there, and yep. And so, you know, we took great care to kind of understand the site and knowing that we wanted these to like bookend this whole arrival. So the idea here is that, you know, it's set back in the middle of the site, the highest point, and it is just in those areas right there. And the site does slope back towards the east, from the street to the east. So we felt, you know, like that, as it appears on 250 and around the site, it's really, I think, sympathetic to what's around it. So just wanted to note that, because I know we were talking about that at the last meeting.
Okay.
After seeing these, I could explain a little bit more of things. If Doug, if we could go back to the site plan with the bluish purple buildings.
Yes, just a moment.
That's it.
Thank you. So what are some of the differences? This, to most of you, probably looks substantially the same. And I don't believe I can control the cursor. But as you come in, the main plaza between buildings C and D, we have modified that. One of the modifications there is just, you know, we've refined the layout of the fire pit and Adirondack chairs, and then another layer of seating. You can see we have, I guess it will be under the bridge. We have bike racks. We have more outdoor seating under the canopy, or the canopy of building C. And in the plaza area outside the public space in Building D, where we have the elevators, we have more outside seating. The stairway leading down to Building C and then over to E, that has been straightened out. That was originally at a couple of funky angles, and we noticed that it kind of led you into the side of a Toyota Camry, so we didn't want to have that, and we wanted to have that circulation path lead directly into the sidewalk on the lower side. We do have some light bollards down at the bottom, and the handrails on that staircase will be lit. Another thing is that the sidewalk between the circular plaza and a plant bed where it says monument sign, that was all integrated together before. But in order to keep a continuous path for pedestrians to go through that space, we separated it by, I think it's 10 feet, but it could be 8 feet. So that between the benches and the back of the planter, you can maintain a continuous circulation along to the north, to the retail spaces along Building D, or continuing even further north to the North Plaza. So that circulation route has been opened up. All other circulation routes have pretty much remained the same. We've made our best effort to make sure the sidewalks are as wide as the MUD calls for. There was rightly a couple of places where staff comments pointed out a lack of a drop curb for handicap access, which we appreciate and will take care of as we make the revisions. We do have electric vehicle charging stations at several locations throughout the project. And one thing about the area in front of Building D, that parallel parking is all, the curb line there is all flush with the sidewalk. So we will likely end up designating I don't know how many of those spaces as handicap, but all are handicap accessible because that sidewalk is flush right there and there is no curb reveal. So again, we want to make that space very dynamic. There's benches, there's bike racks, there's trees, light poles. So it's an interesting space, an active space as well. There's the building has a lot of windows and glazing for visual penetration to see activity going on in the buildings. As we, Doug, could we slide a little bit to the right so we can see the North Plaza? The North Plaza has also been refined a little bit. Hard to tell on the rendering, but the flags of concrete on the left actually act as a ramp up. We wanted to do a little bit of raising of the grade here so that this plaza is elevated above the parking area just to the east of it. Because remember, again, we want this area to kind of look over the top of that into the wetland and Wickham Farms off to the east. There are 2 trellises in the space now. All outdoor furniture's been identified. The black dark line is a segmented retaining wall so that we can keep the elevation up. And that crazy kind of looking X tower thing on the corner there is actually a farm windmill. We're with the agricultural theme to everything. We are looking to incorporate elements that also speak to that vernacular. And we look to purchase a windmill that will be operational and add to the character and also stand out in the view from Route 250. Fire pit is there, and then the lawn in front of it is sloped so people can sit on that lawn as well. One of the comments was to add a bike rack to this location, which was also a good recommendation, and we will do that. Bike rack was asked to be added to the retail location. We will also do that. But we do already have bike racks in the main plaza, along the front of Building D, down at Building E, as well as at the Common House. And those are all already on the plans. If we could go to the, kind of toward the back, I guess. Let's kind of by the Common House and on that purple building plan, that would be fine.
Looks like you're stuck on the blow up of the plaza area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Zoom call, I believe, is
Are we frozen?
frozen on the,
Oh,
Oh. Let's share real
at Fire Pit Plaza area.
Let's share that guy.
okay. All right. Is the, well, let me speak to this quickly. This is the common house. Apologize, faintly visible there. You can see bollards, a trash receptacle above the words outside the common house, as well as bike racks yeah, there, thank you. Let me explain some minor modifications to the exterior of this. We've added the outdoor furniture. There will be a hot tub, the swimming pool, a fire pit, as well as an outdoor cooking area with farm tables. So, we've kind of worked through all of the spatial dimensioning. We know that we have some additional area drains to add to this and get some additional spot elevations so that it's understandable about how this is going to drain. The area to the left, which is that 10-foot wide trail down to the retention pond area and the trail along the wetland, that is got an 8% grade on it. So it will have handrails along both sides, and it does have landings every 30 feet, and they're 5-foot landings, typical for handicap accessibility. The front side of the pool area and that south side of the pool will have a segmented block wall to hold that entire plaza area up. The wall goes from approximately 1 foot high back at the common house to about 7 feet high. I hope I'm saying that right, Alex, but I think it's about 7 feet high at the front edge where the public
eastern
trail will go by. Just want to speak to the retention pond area and the dog park. And I think in our drawings, if we could slide over to something that shows building E. Okay, I see it, but it's not on, in there. Okay. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing it in a small view. But I wanted to point, there we go. Great, thank you. We have the stormwater retention. There's a couple of comments about spillways that we need to work through, and we will do that. These boxes across here are the air conditioning condensers. And please remember that the elevation of where those are is several feet below any of the balconies in the building. So the elevation of grade here is lower. So these air conditioning units are back up near the building, and we have stormwater facilities between those and the trails around the pond. With regard to the dog park, there were comments in the letter regarding the dog park being over the sanitary sewer easement. I'd like to be able to work with the staff and just determine, what the needs might be for access. We could certainly, build types of fences that would allow for vehicular access if the town needed to get through to maintain any portion of the sanitary system, manholes or anything. But we'd like to do our best to keep the dog park as a feature for both residents and the public, and just find a way that we could solve both needs. I do see a dumpster on here, and would just like to point out we do have 2 dumpsters identified and located for the project, and the townhouse units will be served by individual toters up front in buildings A and B. I could keep going and talking. There are several points of comments that I've already brought up, but there are several others that we could speak to, Mr. Chairman, or I'm happy to stop and let the board ask some questions.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Why don't we, I have a few questions that I've written down as you've gone through your presentation so far, and maybe we can take care of some of those and some other questions potentially from the board, and then move on to the rest of your comments. Would that work for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Some of my comments or questions, do you have any trees or vegetation, really trees, planned for the west side of the property between buildings A and B and 250? It just struck me that the afternoon sun will hit those, and they'll be pretty, I mean, not that Rochester is all that sunny, but when we do get it,
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, and there's some patios and balconies out there, so yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So I was thinking about that. You mentioned some of the bollards, and I just have an overall question about lighting. What types of, obviously you're going to have pedestrian scale and street scale luminaires for lighting the parking lots and that sort of thing. Architectural lighting to highlight features and maybe trees, like landscape lighting and that kind of thing. Do you have that planned for the site?
Mr. Chairman, yes. So what we submitted, when we generally speak about photometrics, it's really the post tops or the parking lot lighting that is the area of concern. But since the submittal of these plans, we have worked with our architects and interior designers to develop and select actual fixtures for exterior doors, building entrances to the multi-family, but also, so we were originally presenting like a street light fixture mounted to the building, really just to get our photometrics done. But those have been changed out to much more appropriate residential units on the buildings. We also have
similar performance.
So yeah, similar performance, possibly better. Then we are looking at our trellises in the north public space, lighting lighting up in the trellis so that it downlights onto the pavement surface and the furniture. Up lights on the monument sign as you're coming from the main entrance. We'll have light mounted to that, to the sign so that it's illuminated versus an internally illuminated sign or individual letters that are illuminated. The windmill will be illuminated. There will be bollard lighting along sidewalks, in areas where we're not using post tops or parking lot level lighting.
Okay. All right. Let me skip to the windmill since you brought that up. How tall and what's the overall, windmills come in all shapes and sizes, so what's the plan for that?
So that is going to be 28 foot tall. It's not huge. It's not going to project up and be seen necessarily over the tops of buildings A and B, but it will be. We do want it to be seen from the from Route 250, and internally we'd like people to see it from this phase and other future phases. The windmill itself is 8 foot in diameter. So if you are, these dimensions should be on the plans that we did submit. And it's mounted on that patio area, that plaza that's elevated about 2.5 feet off the, above the sidewalk that's passing in front of it.
And it is designed to provide power for what? Or nothing?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
Okay. Whether it's provide power or it's actually going to draw water, we're trying to think of a clever use for that. But
Got it.
They do come operable, so I got to figure something out.
Okay. And will the fire pits be natural gas?
Natural gas for both the North Plaza and as well as the main common space between C and D and the common house one. So we have a total of 3. 2 are rectangular and 1 is circular in shape.
Okay. And then all these units are proposed as rental units, none owner occupied, correct?
Correct.
So utilities and things and maintenance of all these common spaces will be borne by the developer and the owner of the property?
The owners, yes. They'll manage and maintain the property and take care of all utility bills. That's all the maintenance.
The parallel parking on that north-south street, is there a concern about vehicles really parking on the sidewalk and impeding pedestrian?
Well, we will have
thoroughfare?
light poles, and I understand the question, but we're integrating, we have a 2 foot strip behind, the kind of the portion that is the curb or the pavement side versus the pedestrian side. Trees have been placed in the striping of those, have been handled so that it's going to be pretty hard, Mr. Chairman, if you look at it there, a car weaving its way, would they put their wheels sometimes on that kind of salt strip area? Yeah, there is that possibility. But I think because the plant beds and trees are there and the location of light poles, I think people will get a pretty good idea of where their zone is.
Okay. Do you have any lights proposed to uplight the trees?
I don't think so at this point, but that's not to say we couldn't.
I think that'd be pretty attractive.
Yeah, yeah, and or electric outlets for
Christmas
season.
lights, yep. Okay, moving on to the common house. Is that now 2 buildings?
It is, it's actually one Well, I guess, Rob, could you explain that?
Yeah,
One roof.
it's one roof line. I mean, the roof, it's just perpendicular to each other. So there's like call it a veranda or a breezeway that you walk into that you could either go right or left and you're outside, and then it could take you inside. The reason why we did that is the acoustics of the fitness center, and then there's the great room or the common space and the leasing offices and all that in the other wing of it. So look at it as two wings, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the platform where the pool is, it's essentially kind of an elevated platform by 7 feet at the eastern edge of the property and down to about a foot at the western edge, right?
Right, what it does is it's the grade is dropping from essentially the east wall of the common house, the portion that's on the southern leg of it, down toward the wetland area. So that wall is, just gradually getting more exposed as you go east.
Right, okay. Okay, that's all I have at the moment. Any other questions from the board before Bill moves on?
Oh, good. I had
Okay.
two minor ones. I see the charging stations, it's good there. At least one of the spaces is adjacent to an area for handicap parking. So you should be aware there is specifications for making charging stations ADA compliant. So at least, and it looks like you've maybe addressed that in those locations. As far as the windmill, will there be some protection? I see it looks like it's a self-supporting tower to prevent people from climbing it, just from a safety concern?
Can I take that as a comment?
Sure.
And see, I'm sure that question has come up before. I think, one of the things and one of the reasons we put it where it is so prominently was so that there was surveillance, people walking by, people driving by, and, could see what's going on. But I can't say that's going to preclude a kid from the neighborhood, coming over and giving that a try.
And there may be some features in the design too that would make it very difficult. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think. I'm sorry, Bill. We could definitely look into it. I know where we're getting this is a vintage windmill that they sell, and I think it's out of California. They have a lot of these that they've reclaimed from old barns and farmhouses instead. So we could, but I'm sure we could ask the question to them. I'm sure someone has asked that. So
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
The height of that first crossbar might be, 8 or 10 feet off the ground. And
Yeah.
they're not hugely substantial members. They're kind of thin, so it may be very difficult to do, but.
Yeah,
we
seeing
appreciate the point.
the picture again, or the sketch, it looks like that may be the case. So, it's not like there's a ladder going up to the top or anything like that.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Bill, you want to continue?
Yeah, okay, thank you. With regard to comments, let me just see. I would like to just work with town staff on fire access issues. I'd like to work on things like 26-foot wide access drives, turnaround hammerhead sizes. You know, one of the things about mixed-use design principles is not to expand lane widths, it's to reduce lane widths. And really like to see if we could find some creative solutions to what we understand, which is access really, I think, to the back of building D and getting apparatus back there. But I'd like to see if we can look at some creative ways rather than expanding all of the road widths to 26 feet. Actually, a bigger issue that is brought up and was brought up in the comment letter after the sketch plan approval was the issue of two separate access roads. And I guess I'd just like clarification. Does that in fact mean this project needs to have two access points from Route 250? Is that what that part of the code means?
How many dwelling units total?
132.
132. And are all of the dwelling units protected by fire sprinklers?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So the state code has some wiggle room in there. I believe that would be up to the discretion of the fire marshal. But just so you understand, the aerial fire apparatus access dimensions and the 26-foot widths and the turnaround, the town doesn't have any discretion there. Those are state laws. So you could discuss with the fire marshal his willingness to perhaps support your petition to the state for a variance, but these are not local issues that have local discretion.
Okay. But the, ultimate intent, now I can't speak to a time frame on this, but certainly, based on the master plan of the MUD, a second access would be provided from Sweets Corners Road at a time in the future. But as far as providing a second access point, we have not proposed that. There is more units across the street and a YMCA with a single access point. So we will continue to work with the fire marshal on all of those issues. I think that one of the comments was about how will this be constructed? This will be constructed in one phase. So all buildings will be constructed at the same time. We're not going to do A and B and D and then come back and do others. So earthwork, utilities, all the infrastructure and buildings would be done in a single phase. Doug brought up a point of providing easy access to the elevators in Building D so that handicap visitors can get to the lower level and access out to the sidewalk along C and E, get to the common house and also to the area around the pond and back. We are making the access to the elevators very easy and accessible and identified as an accessible route. I think Doug's intent with the comment was if that can't be accomplished, then you need to provide an alternative means between buildings C and D, implying, and I don't, Doug, if I'm wrong, please let me know, but I believe implying that a accessible ramp be built between C and D. And to accomplish, our primary desire for the accessible route is across the west side of Building D, the north side of Building D, and down in between the Common House and Building E to get to the back. And if we were to build an accessible ramp between C and D, we'd be adding 152 feet of ramp to make the grade change of 12 feet, which would bring the total distance to 100 feet more than walking around the east and north side of Building D. So we don't see a substantive advantage to a ramp structure. We'd like to keep that to the simple stair and really make sure that the access to elevators is very clearly identified and easy to get to. Site data tables will be updated. Let's see. I mentioned in the discussion there was a comment about what we had drawn along that pathway between Building E and the Common House. Those are not fences; those are handrails to go along the ramp. We did talk about the easement through the dog park and how we'd like to work out access for town vehicles without, destroying anything. But we do know that it's a dog park and that if you need to get in there, that any disruption to the lawn, or maybe it's not lawn in the dog park in a few years when you might have to get in there, we would understand that would be the obligation of the owner to prepare. So we'd like to talk about keeping the dog park over the easement. We're adding wall details to the plans as requested. Snow storage areas are being added. The town comment was that snow storage cannot be stormwater management infrastructure is placed. And hate to disagree with anybody, that is specifically why these annual measures are made, so that they filter the pollutants. They're specifically intended for that, and some of the snow storage will be in those areas. We talked about AC units, we talked about bike racks, we talked about refuse removal for townhouses, we talked about our lighting. We'll be updating profiles and drawing dimensions, details, hatch patterns, and I want you to know that SRF and Associates has been retained to prepare the traffic impact analysis. And I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any additional comments at this time. I've asked, my questions. Anybody on the board have any comments? Nope. We have at the moment, let me quick remind our viewers out there. Call in 340-8771. Welcome your comments. You can also submit something electronically to the Town of Penfield website, www.penfield.org, and there should be a link to this meeting on the home page. We currently don't have anybody in the queue. Let me quick click on a couple of these different things so I look like I know what I'm doing. Okay, give it a couple more minutes. Any other comments on architecture? Any changes that you've made from the sketch plan? Things like that?
Yeah, my apologies. Rob, would you walk through some of those? And we did submit plans with the heights on them.
Yeah, I mean, just if you needed more detail for where the heights exceed the 55 feet, we've created a series of elevations with some dimensions on them, so it'll help you understand. But I think that 3D really shows the intent better and probably is more understandable than a bunch of flat elevations to really get the size and the scale of what is exactly, over that height. I think there was one other comment too about architecture, about buildings A and B being similar. And, I just wanted to just talk about like our approach on that was, we felt that it still met the intent of, I know what it says, but I think, my thoughts on what you're trying to achieve is if you had a project site and it had 40 of the same buildings or even 10 of the same buildings, you'd want to vary that architecture, that color, that texture up a little bit. We felt like just being the two buildings set amidst a series of other buildings that have different forms, and the fact that these are very, there's a lot of ins and outs to these two buildings, which I think from a perspective view, if you're coming down 250, it's ever changing, and it really does, it's dynamic. So I just ask that you try to understand that. That was the thought behind that. And, by changing a color, I just didn't want to make it less authentic, I guess you could say, just for that effect that I don't think will come through very well. I think it would diminish it. Our inspiration was these old vernacular farmhouse settlements where you have these buildings that kind of grow onto the site. So that was kind of the approach. And we think through the form and through the site that there's enough variation there. So I just wanted to address that. I don't know, Bill, if you had something else on other.
Doug, have we sent this package to Chris to get comments yet?
No, we haven't packaged it up yet. That'll be something that we're doing here in the near future.
So just so the applicant knows, we will be asking the town's architectural consultant to review this against the mixed-use development manual and provide some comments to the board.
Great. Yeah, we appreciate that. Would you be sending these updated renderings as well?
Yes.
Okay, I think that'd be helpful. I also have additionally a presentation that we presented to the client on, more of the, I guess, our approach to the architecture too, that, got into some of the vernacular. If you think that would help, I could also send that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Can I ask a couple of questions about that? The only term that I'm going to use, I guess, is the bathtub in Building D, but that's on you, Bill, for bringing that up. Yeah. So I'm assuming, rain, snow falls in there, and there's drainage and just like a flat roof on any commercial building, right? And
that's exactly it.
Are the only structures, the only things that are in there, the mechanical equipment, or could that or will that space also be potentially utilized by residents or?
No, it won't, unfortunately. I mean, our thoughts are that's a maintenance area. We don't want to mix the two. We could, I guess. It'd just be very difficult, and you'd be stuck in a bathtub. What would you? You wouldn't be able to see anything at the height it's at.
Right.
So,
yeah, you'd be okay, you're looking at sky and then
Yeah.
walls, right? Blank walls.
Yeah, maybe a nice spa area to look at the sky, but yeah, the intent is purely utilitarian. It's just a built-up roof with drains, as you mentioned, with as much mechanical stuff we could put up there. 'Cause you'll never see, you won't see it at all.
And yeah, from the ground, you really don't notice that it's almost a cutaway.
No, you wouldn't at all. I mean, we've done it. You've probably been in so many buildings you haven't even realized. We do it on a lot of our pitched roof architecture.
Okay. All right. So we have a caller on hold at the moment. We have Linda Bradbury. Linda, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. Go ahead. We'd love to hear your comments.
Okay, it's just short, and I'm reading from what I tried to send you, but the capture wasn't letting me through, so you didn't get it at your end, and that's why I called. But it states, please contact the Penfield Historical Society before 1820 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road is demolished due to new Penfield Heights. There is a horse weather vane atop the barn that may have some historic value to the town. A brand new roof was installed approximately 2 years ago, and the weather vane was kept intact. Also, the big rock by the Route 250 roadside directly in front of the barn. I also have firsthand knowledge of the large crater open hole in the rear of apartment 3 behind the main dwelling that is septic tank related, and the individual who lives there now has major sewer issues. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for the comments, Linda.
I love that weather vane, and as I understand it, there is some historical value to Penfield. And also the rock, the big rock, it's very visible right from the street there. It's right to the left of the loop-de-loop driveway.
So what I'm wondering is maybe both those items could be incorporated somehow.
Correct. And I spoke with Doug earlier. He's a bit familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would welcome that.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
I hope everything works well. Likewise, in kind.
Thank you.
Okay. I will give our phone number one more time because it seems to work. 340-8771. Or you can go onto the website, penfield.org, and make your comments in writing. And just like the previous 3 applications, this will be tabled this evening, and we will hold the public comment period open for at least the next 7 days. And you can call the Penfield Planning Department at 340-8640 almost any time during business hours during the week. All right, any other questions from the board at the moment? Comments? Okay. Folks, any final comments this evening from you? I know that we have a lot of reviewing to do. I know that you just received the PRC comments, so, I think we all have a lot of reading and review to accomplish, and then we can reconvene.
Very good. Yep, we'll get our written responses in as soon as possible and try and work with staff on a couple of these issues.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for the terrific presentation. And thanks for those renderings, too. They helped, I know they helped me a lot.
Those renderings are terrific.
Yeah.
Great.
They're excellent.
AJ, I just wanted to know who I would be sending that additional package, that PowerPoint to.
Send it to Doug
Yeah, so planning@penfield.org, it's the planning email, so if I don't happen to catch it, everyone else in our planning department will be able to get it.
Is it too big to email?
I may be able to get it down in a PDF, yeah.
Or just send Doug a flash drive and,
Yeah, we can get things, if you just send it to Penfield Town Hall, it'll make its way to me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try email first.
Yeah, can the town access like Dropbox or anything like that, if somebody sets up a link? I know I can. So, you know what, those technical wizardry logistics, I'm sure we can figure out.
Yes, we could do that. Thanks.
Great. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right, we will call the public hearing portion of our meeting closed and move on to a quick discussion and tabling of the items that we've had presented before us this evening. I'd like to go back to item number 1, the Plank Road subdivision.
Stroyer.
Stroyer. Any outstanding issues from staff or board members? Can we get a resolution drafted for our work session on that?
Yes, we can do that. At this time, staff really doesn't have any major questions. It's mostly minor technical issues, working out text conflicts on the plans and, showing roof leaders and things like that. But we can certainly get a draft approval resolution ready for the work session on the 24th.
Okay, terrific. So, I'd like to get a motion to table that with the direction to get that prepared. This is Terry's.
Oh, it's mine. All right, I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to
Table?
table it, I guess.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Okay, move to table by Tidings, second by Canower.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings,
Tidings, aye.
All right, second one is the,
I think it's Hutteman,
geez,
1357
Jackson Road?
Jackson Road. Yep.
Sorry if you're watching and I forgot, but essentially the same thing holds true. Do we have any outstanding?
Sounds to me like they're working out the couple of last minute things with that pond and,
Pond and maybe the trees buffering on the north side. If we could mention that and prepare a resolution for that as well.
Yep, we can do that.
and I'll move to table.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings,
Tidings, aye.
All right, item 3, the Salt Road.
Yeah, I'll move to table it, unless there's any other questions at this point.
You stole Bob's thunder
Oh, is
there.
that Bob? I'm sorry.
I covered for you earlier.
Well, he threw me into the bus, so I...
Move to table.
I'll second.
You lost it all.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
All right. Item 4, the, is it Penfield Heights? I know we have a lot of review to do, so I'm going to just say that we table that pending additional review and comments and staff and board review and submission of additional information. And I'll give Bob the opportunity to move this one.
Move to table.
All right.
Hetzke.
Hetzke, aye.
Burton.
Burton, aye.
Canower.
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
So we're just encouraging full participation in the inner workings of our board this evening. Everybody gets a chance. Everyone gets a trophy for participation. All right, do we have anything else that
That's
we
all I
need to
have for
cover?
you guys tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. Peter wins.
Peter wins.
Keep talking.
So
Keep talking.
Yeah,
we will. We will.
What'd you say?
You're trying to
We
stretch it out to
will call
8:30?
this meeting
8:10.
adjourned
Mike
and
wins.
reconvene in 2 weeks.
Keep